everyone, Felice Gerwitz here, and I want to share with you something that is dear to my heart, and that is saving you money. Can you use encouragement for your homeschool journey? Have you been searching for an online learning program designed to ground your family in a Christian worldview? Well, now you can at MediaAngelsMembership.com. Our affordable membership packages fit your budget and busy life. Now you can access customized membership packages for your homeschooling family from the extensive Media Angels library of books, classes, and Bible studies. You may select the ebook bundle, the creation bundle, the premium bundle, or the forever bundle. Each bundled set will save you vast amounts of money. Our packages begin at less than $10, and you can use it for the whole family. So go to MediaAngelsMembership.com for more information. That's MediaAngelsMembership.com. You'll be glad you did.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions, from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at MediaAngels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Hey everyone, and welcome. This is Felice Gerwitz with an episode of Vintage Homeschool Moms. Well, guys, you are in for a treat. I have a special guest that I'm going to bring on in just a few minutes. She blogs at bestmomideas.com, so you're going to be really excited to meet her. This is our 6th birthday celebration. That's right. This is the month of October. So even if you're listening in the archives, join us next October for our next birthday celebration. We have been at this for 6 years, if you can believe that. And we've had millions of downloads. And that is all thanks to you, our listeners. So we have some special giveaways all month long. Go to Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network and look for the giveaways tab and join in the fun. There are going to be many surprises in the month of October. And also check out all of our other podcasters. Well, today we are going to talk about field trips with little ones. This is the month of field trips. If you are a subscriber to our network, you are going to get a free download. And it is available to subscribers after this month. It may be available on Amazon. I'm not sure. So I never know what I'm doing, guys. So just bear with me. But you can find out more information, by just being a subscriber. We give away something free that's new every month. So you'll want to subscribe to our list. And then you also get all of our schedule for the month, everything that's coming up, as well as weekly. Well, friends, this is episode 375. You can find the show notes at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Look for field trips with the little ones. Well, today I have a special guest, and her name is Autumn McKay with Best Mom Ideas. Welcome, Autumn.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I always like to meet new friends, and I feel like I know you. And you are mommy to 3 little ones. So you're also an author, and you've got some great activity books and coloring books that are low prep, something for busy moms. So share a little bit about yourself.
I am a mother of 3. I was a former school teacher before I became a mother for 5 years. And then once we started having a family, I decided to stay at home and use that time with my children to just pour into them. And so when my oldest was only 21 months old, we started doing activities together just because I really got bored with playing the same games and reading the same books over and over and over again. So I started to create 5-minute, 10-minute activities just to break up the day. And then my husband saw how beneficial those activities were from our son. We were learning colors, and he was really starting to pick up and learn colors. And so my husband said, why don't you like share these with other moms? And so I did, and I share them on Best Mom Ideas. And so throughout the years, I've done other activities with my children, and those have developed into other books that I share as well. Just because I know moms are busy and they don't have time to sit and search on Pinterest or to look on other outlets for activities to do with their children. So I wanted to provide something for other moms that were beneficial to my children and to me.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love that. And she's got, there's 9 books and some that her husband wrote, who is an engineer and has some great aspects that he shares there as well. Well, you're going to share with us some preschool ideas for, going on field trips with little ones. And I know when mine were little, there were so many things that you don't realize could possibly happen on a field trip that probably will. So we want to give our kids, the experience of going on a field trip. Some of you listening may have, multi-age children. And so sometimes going with a little one is just, oh, I can't do it. But you want to go because you've got older kids as well. So first of all, let's share, some of the ideas that you had about going on field trips and the benefits for preschoolers and, younger kids.
Sure. So in my experience, children learn better through experiences. That there's more connections in their brain when they have those experiences and when they can touch things and see things and smell things and taste things, then those memories are going to stick in their brain and they're going to remember those moments and be able to recall them later. So like, for example, in some of my books, like the toddler lesson plan, learning ABCs, in the letter D, we learn about feeding dogs and learning that the letter D, or dog starts with the letter D. And then I also have an activity in there for going to visit a dog shelter. So being able to like see the dogs and possibly feed the dogs or pet the dogs, that experience will help the child remember that dog starts with D and D makes the duh sound.
Right. Very cool. Yeah, I remember those days when I had, it was before sticky notes were even invented, I'm dating myself here, oh well. But I would have these little note cards taped on everything, like whatever that letter was, or if we were learning the words, my husband would come home and just shake his head. And I was an elementary ed and a certification and early childhood learning, and then also learning disabilities. So I had the gamut. I always said before you start school and all the way through high school. So, with little ones, you're not going to go to, for example, there is a wonderful oceanography type of field trip we can do here in Southwest Florida. It actually is a fishery, and they do all kinds of experiments with oceans and fish and, tons of stuff there. But I remember taking one of my little ones, and they do have some like little touching tanks that are outside, but the little ones had to sit in, these labs. They actually brought us in the labs. Not a good thing. So obviously I had not done my research, and what ended up happening were there were other mommies there with us that had little kids. So we kind of took turns taking the little ones outside because, like I said, this was a science lab with test tubes, with a scientist, and they brought us in groups to all of these places. So, when you're thinking about field trips for your little ones, obviously you're going to look into them. But what are some fun places that you can take kids that are really kid-friendly?
So the police station is a great place to take them. They're very hospitable, and they will show kids around, and they'll have stickers, and they sometimes have coloring books. And if you bring a treat, that's a big plus for police officers. So if you're learning about community helpers, that would be a great place to visit. And usually at the police station, there's not too much that like a little kid can get into that can harm them. They usually have all the harmful stuff put away and locked away. So, and also fire stations is very good. They can touch the fire truck and the ambulance, and sometimes they'll even let them into the ambulance and get to like lay on the bed or listen to their heart and things like that. And they'll show them around the bunk room. They also have stickers and coloring pages. And sometimes they'll even like turn on the lights and the sirens for them to hear. The zoo is a great place for little kids because you can see all the animals. I do recommend maybe going with another adult if you have more than two kids, because it can be a little hard to wrangle in more than two kids with just one adult at a very busy place. Let's see. We like to go to the library each week. Most libraries have like a preschool time where they'll do a story, sing some songs, or even do a craft or a playtime during that story time at the library. And it lets kids interact with other kids their age. So that's a very good social interaction.
I love the library, especially as homeschoolers. That's like our number one. Kids even today, my kids youngest two are in college, and one of the first stops they make when they're home for the summer is the library. They just, have such great memories of going as a kid. And I think that just fosters really good habits for the little ones. One of the fun things I want to throw in here, Autumn, is that when we got back from these trips, as my kids say, Mom can make anything school, but I can't. And I did. But when they're really little and they're really excited about what they saw, and you take all these pictures, what do you do with them, right? Nobody ever sees them. Mm-hmm. So what I would do when I got home is I would just take a Word document. If you have Google Docs, you can even do it on something like that. And I would take the pictures, shrink them down really little, and then I would just do one whole page, do it on a color printer, and then print out some of the pictures that are small, and then have the kids make a book. So, of course, when you're talking about little ones, they can't write yet. So you could have them, dictate to you and just write a few words about each picture. And I am telling you, all of these years later, I've been cleaning up my schoolroom for the last 2 years. My last one graduated in 2018, and I'm still cleaning it out. But I started homeschooling in 1986, so I had many, many years of homeschooling under my belt. So I still find these little books, and now we give them to the grandkids, and my kids are like laughing at these things. But like one time we went to the Keys, and my son caught a fish, and we went to a restaurant, and they prepared it there. So we had the picture of the before, we went on a boat where they clean it for you, which is always the best thing. And then afterwards, the restaurants in the Keys will prepare fish for you. You buy the sides, and, it's a minimal fee to do that. But it was like such a fun thing, and they still talk about it. And I think sometimes they talk about these things because they have a little book floating around, like I said, we'll find it randomly on a shelf somewhere.
That's such a great idea. I love that idea.
It's really fun. So, and then, like you said, some of the bigger field trips might be the zoo. You talked about gardens. That's really interesting to me. Share about gardens and maybe even museums.
So we live close to Atlanta. So we have the Atlanta Botanical Gardens in Atlanta. And so we went and visited there. They have like a small playground area, but it's really fun for the kids to see that there's more than just grass and bushes and trees. There's all these different kinds of plants and like all these different birds and butterflies that come and feed from these flowers and these plants. And then they got to learn how to take care of each kind of plant, like this one needs to be in the shade, or this one needs full sun, or this one only needs water once a week, or this one needs water every day. So it was a lot of fun for them to be able to see and smell and touch and just learn about the different kinds of plants that are around us, but they don't get to see every day.
Yeah, really, really a great idea. And I need to go to that place because I can't grow anything. That's I am just not, that's not my thing. My parents were so good at it. I didn't learn that part. My mother could sew very well too. So I always hot glued really well. I'm good at craft.
I'm the hot gluer too.
But, let's talk about, the importance of developing some social skills through field trips as well.
Yeah, it's a great experience for little ones to be able to see how you interact with people outside of the home. And it's also great if you can invite friends that are their age, or moms come along with them also, and go as a group to these special places. That way they can learn how to interact with kids their own age. They can see how you interact with peers your own age, and they can learn how to use manners, how to share, how to just speak to someone that's not their sibling. That way they can start to develop friendships, or they can just learn how to be around other people that are not their immediate family, because when they grow up, they're going to be around a lot of people that are not their immediate families. So they need to start to learn how to speak kindly and use manners and just interact with other people.
Very cool. And one of the things I did with my kids, and it was the self-preservation after the first debacle field trip we went on. And so I learned after that mess that it was, and when I had to take, a toddler out screaming, everybody's had those days. I always say, our little kids embarrass us, but there is payback, because when you're teens, it's awesome. So I learned that actually from a friend of mine who had older kids, and she goes, just don't worry. She goes, when you get older, there's payback time.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but it's true. It's true. But so what I did was, before we left, I gave them the rundown. Like, for example, we would go to a museum. We have a nature center nearby. So some of the exhibits you can touch and some you can't. So what I would say to the kids is, we're going to walk in and you're going to wait for mommy to tell you which ones, because, they can't read, which ones you can touch and which ones you can't. So you have two options. I always gave my kids choices, which, can be a good thing or not. But I gave them the choice of either holding their hands behind their back or putting them in pockets if they had them. So I had one son that always had to have pockets, and my daughter preferred behind your back. But everybody would compliment them on, look at how good Christina and Neil are, because they're not touching everything. Yes, because I had drilled them. I would ask them, what are we supposed to do? Because half the time they don't remember.
Right.
So you just get them to interact with you and then tell you, what to expect. And then I did that as well for the next day. Now, as they got older and I had more children, it did get very wearing on me. And I think, I don't remember which, I have 5 of them. It may have been child 3 or 4. And I was a little bit of an older mom at that point too, and maybe didn't have as much patience. But I remember one of my children going, so what are we doing tomorrow, Mom? And I said, why are you always asking that? And they kind of looked at me, because you always tell us what we're going to do tomorrow, kind of like to prepare them. I had, we have different personalities of children. I have like my fourth child who's a daughter. She's go with the flow. You can say to her, hey, Annie, do you want to go to the store? Do you want to do this or that? Or do nothing, and she's fine. But if you said that to child number 3, he would just not be a happy camper. He has to know ahead of time so he can mentally prepare. So it really helps too. I always say I had one of every flavor. So it does help to prepare them, because the little ones like that. And, it really works well. And I love that you said, get some of their friends to go with them, because that is really fun for them to be able to interact with some of their friends. Of course, that also means that you prepare them and say, okay, you're going to see so-and-so there, or my daughter, she's really cute because she's got little ones, and she says she never tells them who's going to be there because invariably that person doesn't show up, and they ask the whole time. But she'll say, you're going to meet some new friends, and they're going to be there, and we're not going to run around, but we can run later if we go to the park. So, at least you're setting them up for, not for failure, because I feel like sometimes, parents are just so upset and so embarrassed. And I want to just share too, mommies, don't stress it, because I remember being so embarrassed that first time, but you get over it quickly. And, kids are kids. And if people don't understand that, especially if you're on a field trip, then oh well. Of course, we don't want our kids screaming and disrupting, the speaker, but we also want to be able to enjoy it with them. And so if we give them some prep, I think that will help.
Yes, I do like the idea of preparing your children before you take on the task of going on a field trip.
Right. Well, guys, I really want you to check out bestmomideas.com. Autumn has some great feedback as well on some of her blog posts that talk about some of the items. Like one of the things I was sharing before we went on air was that she talked about a Vitamix. And I had one, I still have one of those that I bought so many years ago. And she's got some great books here. I'm just looking at the list I have, like Learning Numbers Workbook. There's an Ultimate Kindergarten Prep Guide. There's a toddler activity, very, very cool. I love to that you did activities with your kids, because I did as well. You do get bored, just going to the park or going to the library or, whatever that is. And they're just sponges. They just love to learn. She's got an ABC book, Learning Colors. And then Seth McKay, her husband, did, the engineer coloring book, or the little engineer coloring book, Cars and Trucks, Numbers, How to Build a House. My husband's a builder. That would have been a very high interest coloring book for my kids. And I think I'm getting that one for my grandsons. I have 3 of them that told Grandpa that they're going to go work for him someday. About how their parents feel about them just skipping the whole college thing and just going for Grandpa. But I thought that was really cute, because they think we have, some big machinery in the yard too. And that's because of my other son. So it's always very fun here.
That's fun.
Anything you want to leave the listeners with?
Yes. So I want to thank you guys for having me on your podcast, and to thank the listeners. I want to offer a what I like to call a Mom Saver activity bundle. And it is totally free. And it is 6 activities from my Ultimate Toddler Guide book that you can use as a sample. And then it's also 6 coloring pages from one of Seth's Little Engineers coloring books, the Numbers one. So those are for you guys. And I just as a thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Autumn. See, it is our birthday celebration. But super sweet to offer that, and I didn't even know she was going to do that. So we will have that link on her website, and you guys connect when you hear one of the speakers that are on our podcast. Connect with them. Find them on social media. Follow their blog, and just check out what they have to offer. Some of these books that she has look really wonderful, especially if you have a little one and you're not really sure what to do. It's really fun to have a teacher who is helping out with that. And so it has been such a pleasure having you on, Autumn, and getting to know you. And hopefully you'll come back on sometime in the future.
I'd love that. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Well, guys, again, you can find the show notes for today's episode and that link with that freebie that Autumn has. Go to vintagehomeschoolmoms.com, episode 375, and look for field trips with the little ones. Take care, everybody. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and TheVintageHomeschoolMoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.